Hello, I'm the same guy who had reviewed the Ford Endeavour last year, and in the conclusion, I had said that it is unbeatable. And I am here to prove him wrong. I got to be honest in telling you that I genuinely like the way your Endeavour looks right from the front. I believe that it is more intimidating than my Fortuner, even though if you ignore that you have a Ford F-150 aftermarket grille installed on your car, but that's where it is. Fortuner really looks better than the Endeavour, especially from the rear and the rear three-quarter. Thanks to the kink in the side profile of the Fortuner, it really adds to that muscular stance and really makes it look aggressive. But as we are talking about the exteriors, let me just point out and say that my Endeavour is running on an all-terrain setup. And whereas you are having a 4x4, which is a Sigma four-wheel drive variant, still you're running on a highway terrain setup. So you want to talk about tires, huh? Well, show me your stepney. Because you should very well know that you are running on an 18-inch setup, whereas your stepney is a 17-inch rim, and that is not an alloy rim, it is a steel rim. So that is not a cool thing, because I am running on a proper 18-inch alloy wheel, but I do have a tire pressure monitoring system with me. Show me your Ford Endeavour's keys, please. Why do you want to see my keys? Well, you very well know that I own a Ford Figo as well. And it is the exact same key of the Ford Figo what the Ford Endeavour is having, and that is absolutely stupid what Ford could do, because the Endeavour is priced almost 5 times the Ford Figo and they still give the same key. It's absolutely ridiculous. We could have argued for long, but instead we thought it's better if we head back to our respective cars and should get to the driving. So the one place where the Endeavour trumps the Fortuner is in the engine department. I say this because I'm driving the 3.2 litre version, having 200 horsepower and 470 Newton meters of torque with 5 cylinders. So yes, I'm more on torque, more on power, and having an extra cylinder. Well, right now I know he would be boasting about having an extra cylinder, having more power, but that really doesn't matter, because I know that Endeavour weighs approximately 250 kilos more than that of the Fortuner. Yes, that is approximately quarter of a ton more. And with 175 horses in the Fortuner, it is having the exact same power to weight ratio of the Endeavour. And weighing less is always a good thing in off-road conditions, you know. To settle which is faster, the Endeavour brought me to a nearby isolated beach. What, just because you have sand mode, you have gotten me to a beach for a race? Well, street racing is illegal. That's the reason we are on the beach. Beach racing is not. And I've got all-terrain tires, which you don't. So I have a slight advantage over you. That is the reason I've got you here. Okay, then let's go for it then. Alright, because it's a 6-speed automatic transmission, I don't need to much worry about the launch. I just need to switch the terrain management system to the sand mode and I'm set. Okay, first things first, guys, we have a disadvantage, which is a manual transmission. Not a disadvantage actually, but I have to nail the launch to beat that Endeavour. But before we do that, I have to switch it to the H4 mode because we're on a beach. Though I know the Fortuner is lighter to me, but there is an old saying that power solves everything. Yes, the power mode. Ah, no, the Endeavour got away. I messed up the launch. Oh. Now after that meaningless drag race is over, now it's time to discuss the more important bits like the suspension, handling and steering department. The steering though in the Endeavour is an electronic power steering unit. Though it feels very good to use in the city limits, but it is not as good on the highway because there is a bit of numbness and it might be a little loose at high speeds, to say so, for this kind of an SUV. The Fortuner, on the other hand, gets the hydraulic unit. Though in city conditions it might feel a bit hard, But overall, this is what a typical body-on-frame SUV deserves. An old school steering wheel. And this is how it is. It feels really good to use on highways. It's really weighty when you are gaining the speeds. And definitely this is the steering I would like to have in the Endeavour. After speaking of the steering, now it brings in the handling department, where again the Endeavour feels slightly planted than the Fortuner. Even though the Fortuner is having the pitch and bounce control, the Endeavour manages to ride better, feel better at higher speeds, probably because it is heavier. Where again the Endeavour feels better than the Fortuner is in the ride quality department, specifically on the highways, the well-paved tarmacs, and on that odd expansion joint and that odd bad patch of road. The Endeavour slightly feels better than the Fortuner because they have got the suspension tuning right in this. But in rough road conditions, the Fortuner excels and it feels much more robust and made to last thanks to that long travel suspension. And overall, the chassis feels much more superior than the Endeavours. And that is where the Fortuner is better in ride quality. That is only in the bad and the rough road conditions. Which brings us to the next challenge. This off-road challenge is a tri-stage race starting off from a rocky upslope, then moving on to a loose gravelly patch of stretch, and then finally dipping into performing a U-turn on the way to clear the final obstacle across the finish line. And the Fortuner went in first. No modes to select, just an H4 mode and a properly good working A-track, the active traction control system, and the car does everything for you. This is just fantastic. Okay. Okay, sorry. Okay, so the next part of the race is going to be more like a circuit, and where I just have to go all out with the power. Oh. Okay, this is going to be a bit tricky, but fortunately, soldiers through. Good 225 millimeters of ground clearance. Now this U-turn, yeah, the turning radius is slightly wider than that of the Endeavours, but that will do. And the last obstacle before we go across the line. Okay. So this track is going to have sand, this track is going to have a little bit of grass, it's going to have loose gravel, it's going to have rocks. So I'm really wondering what mode is he going to select on the terrain management system. Now what mode should I select on the terrain management system? Right. Okay. Rock mode maybe. The Fortuner would have done better here. Okay, the second part of the track is going to be that loose gravelly road. Time to switch to the sand mode. Going all out. Okay, so I have to make a U-turn here now. However, inconclusive the race was, the Toyota Fortuner beat the Ford Endeavour by 5 seconds. So after that tri-stage so-called off-road race was over, we decided to sit in each other's cars and spend some time in the interiors. First things first, I genuinely love the way the interior has been put together. Typically a strong American interior here. I really like the view outside as well because the bonnet looks really well sculpted. I love the simplistic way Ford have put the interior together. Also, I prefer the Sync 3 system, the touch screen as well as the infotainment system of the Ford Endeavour over the touchscreen of the Fortuner. But two things which I would like to point out here is what I'm missing. One is the navigation, which is present in the Toyota Fortuner. I'm really surprised at why they did not offer navigation with such an advanced system. And the LED headlamps. The LED headlamps of the Fortuner are properly bright. And though this is having xenons, but in the full beam it is just a yellow beam. A quick word about the terrain management system as well. Though it's a good system, but I genuinely believe there should have been an auto select mode where the computer in the terrain management system should have been having an extra mode called as the auto mode, which will automatically detect what kind of terrain the car is on. The auto box is good enough for the 3.2 liter 5-cylinder, but it is a shame that Ford is not offering a manual transmission paired with this 5-cylinder engine. It would have been a blast to drive otherwise. Alright, right now I'm in the interior of the Toyota Fortuner, and first things first, the design looks very bold compared to the simplistic design of the dashboard of the Endeavour. Overall, I don't say I don't like it, but it's a very different approach from Toyota this time around. Also, this being the manual transmission variant, this should be the variant of choice if you're picking the Fortuner. I strongly believe that, because the Endeavour makes a very strong case for itself in the automatic variant. Other than that, here we get the knob for the 4-wheel drive switch. Again, yes, the Endeavour is a full-time 4-wheel drive. That's another reminder. Endeavour also gets the diff lock, but the Toyota people say that the A-Track manages itself and there's no need for a rear diff lock. So we were not able to actually go and test the real off-road capability of these vehicles. But whatever off-roading we did, we got to know that both are very capable. Of course, the Fortuner gets the power, eco and the IMT specific to the manual transmissions, which is missing in the Ford Endeavour. You just get the sport mode, which is in the automatic. Also, it is shocking to see that the Fortuner misses out on the front parking sensors, which is really surprising. You know, for a car this size, you should be having parking sensors in the front as well. So that's a miss. Also, a quick point about the music system of both the cars. So yeah, the Endeavour is having a 10-speaker system. This is just a 6-speaker system. So that is also where the Fortuner should have been slightly better. Alright guys, I'm in the middle row. First things first, the space of the middle row, especially the legroom. I believe the Fortuner is having more space and more legroom in the middle row, which comes as a surprise because on paper, the wheelbase of the Ford Endeavour is slightly more than that of the Fortuner. So this is a surprise. And overall, the cabin also feels slightly less spacious, though Ford have smartly played around with beige to make the cabin look more spacious. But I think somehow overall the cabin looks a bit narrower in comparison to the Fortuner. A quick word about the panoramic sunroof as well. This is an amazing feature to have in an SUV of this sort. And though there might be some level of headroom compromise compared to the Fortuner, but it is still livable, and it's definitely not a negative for the Endeavour in the middle row till you're sitting quite upright, you know. Alright, right now I'm in the middle row and I can confidently say that there is more space in the Fortuner's middle row compared to the Ford Endeavour. So this is keeping in mind this is a darker interior. This feels slightly more spacious as well, and surely the headroom is also more because of the missing sunroof. Speaking about the sunroof, I recently read somewhere that Toyota had said that they don't give the Fortuner with the sunroof because it disturbs the structural rigidity of the Fortuner. Well, that is surprising because if that is true, then I'd like to ask Toyota that if this is true, then why does the Toyota Line Cruiser have the sunroof? Okay, so right now I'm in the last row of the Endeavour, and to be very frankly saying, yes, it is a very cramped place to be in. But the worst part is to getting in, where the Fortuner is a much easier access. Here, it's a very much of a narrow entry because the seat entirely doesn't tumble ahead. Other than that, the space in the third row still remains very tight compared to the Fortuner. Fortuner is slightly more spacious, and there we feel the more space because the rear seat is reclinable. So as soon as you do that, your headroom increases. Here, that's not possible because the last row seats of the Endeavour fold down electronically. So before I get out of the car and we move on to the conclusion, I would like to point out that Ford have actually nailed the pricing of the Endeavour in India. I say this because in South Africa, the Ford Everest, which is the Endeavour, is priced above the Fortuner, and above in a way when the top end Fortuner is still cheaper than the base variant of the Ford Everest, which is like phenomenal. So in India, they managed to price it at a fair delta under the Fortuner, and that really makes the Ford Endeavour feel a bit more value for money, that is. Okay, so I'm in the last row of the Toyota Fortuner, and I can confidently again say that this is more spacious than that of the Ford Endeavour. Also, the access is better because the middle row seat completely tumbled down ahead, and the access becomes easier for the adults as well. And overall, I believe because the seats recline, it makes it slightly more roomier, and that is a good thing. But at the same time, it's not a great place to be in, so the headroom is still short. Also, a quick point that the glass area in the Fortuner is slightly more than that of the Endeavour. So that is again contributing to the entire airy feel of the third row. Also, before we get into the conclusion, it's important to see the warranty periods what the respective manufacturers are offering. As you can see, Ford is offering only a maximum extended warranty of 3 years, whereas the Toyota is offering a maximum warranty available for up to 7 years. So finally, to conclude things, both of these SUVs are tough, practical, luxurious and off-road ready, typical body-on-frame SUVs. And specification wise, also they are very closely matched. But the Endeavour is cheaper than the Fortuner by a fair margin. And for that reason, the Endeavour wins the comparison test. But that's not the final result, because if you're in the market looking for a 4x4 manual transmission SUV, then the Fortuner is the one to go. And on that note, thanks for watching.